back to another exciting episode of CUNY Uncut, where we talk about anything and everything. Uncensored, unedited, and uncut. I'm your host, Isabel Ortiz, and today's gonna be a funny one. I'm joined by the co-creator and producer of the comedy showcase Bodega Kids, and she also happens to be an alum of CUNY's Hunter College. I would love to give a warm welcome to Lisa Lennis.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course, welcome to CUNY Uncut. I'm super excited that you're here. Like we spoke about, you're my first official guest of season 2.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. But while I have you in the studio today, I really want to pick your brain about all things comedy.
Of course, I'm here.
So I figured what better place to start than at the very beginning. So how did you get your start in stand-up comedy?
Girl, jeez, we're hitting memories. All right. I started off in college, actually.
Okay.
So I used to be the vice president of a club called Eugenio Maria de Hostos.
Okay.
Basically, it's a hostel, multicultural Puerto Rican club. And we would have these open mics. And then I ended up going to the mics way too much to the point they were like, hey, do you want to host these mics? And I was like, of course I want to host these mics. So I ended up hosting those mics in college. And then one day my friend was like, why don't we go to a place called the Creek and Cave, R.I.P. They're no longer existing.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, they have this thing called the bucket mic. Throw your name in the bucket and they'll pull your name out at any given time and you can do 3-minute set.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
It was. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do it. But I went and we saw a show, and it's funny because the comedians that were on there are actually famous now.
Okay.
Which is hilarious. Like I saw Ian Lara, I saw like Ida Rodriguez before, like everything. So you got to see those comedians work out material. And then I thought the show was done.
Okay.
And my friend was like, we can't go nowhere. And I was like, why? And she was like, because I put your name in the bucket. I was like, that's beautiful. So now I'm stressed out. I'm freaking out.
Yeah. In
like the most dirtiest bathroom ever. And I was like, I can't believe she did this.
Yeah. She was being supportive, but
at the
in
time,
a crazy way.
It's being supportive, but it's also like the push I needed.
Yeah.
So one thing about a bucket mic, if anybody wants to go into comedy, just know your name will never be picked first, okay? You'll be waiting there for 3 hours, okay? You'll be waiting for 3 hours. I didn't leave the Creek and Cave until 2 a.m., right?
Oh my god, I can just imagine, like, the anxiety building, too, while you wait. Oh my god.
Oh my god, bubble guts. I was in the bathroom the whole night. But it was so weird because 3 minutes feels like an eternity when you're first starting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
3 minutes now, I'm like, oh, this was easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Like, it's nothing 3 minutes for me now. Okay. Back then, I was like, oh my god, what am
I gonna talk about? What am I gonna do? Yeah.
But it's normal. Like, it's a path you have to take before you do what I do now.
Yeah. And did you go into it like with set jokes already that you had been trying at Hunter, or was it just like
It was 2 or 3 jokes that I was like, all right, I know these work.
Okay.
In Hunter.
They're your go-to. Okay.
Yeah. I did them on that stage. No bueno.
Really?
They were like, ha, give us something more. And I was like, I'm pretty. Like, it's crazy. I don't know how to explain it. You have to be like a first-time comedian to understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's crazy. Because, like, your friend, I give her a lot of credit because to do that, and I give you a lot of credit just to, like, go for it. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, being at Hunter, it's nice when your environment nurtures your passions. So, like, I know for myself, the whole reason I'm really interested in comedy and the process of it all is because it was a really big, like, bonding moment between me and my mom. So, like, we would sit down and, like, watch SNL. My mom's obsessed with Adam Sandler, so we would watch all Adam Sandler movies.
That's so funny. I literally just saw Adam Sandler at the comic strip this weekend.
Oh my god, what is he like? Tell me.
I cried because Adam Sandler is that guy for me.
Yeah.
I saw Adam Sandler. I saw Ben Stiller.
Wow.
And
Ben Stiller.
I freaked out.
my God.
He's so little. Short man. Oh my
Really?
God. He's so little. Adorable.
That's hilarious.
But like Adam Sandler, honestly, he just looked like any NYU student. I didn't know who he was at first.
I'm sure with the Adam Sandler fit, too.
Of course. I was like, who is this Lower East Side guy coming up into this club? And then they were like, all right, you're going to have to introduce this next person. And I was like, who is it? They had me a paper that says Adam Sandler. I was like,
What?
I freaked out. I was like, what? Okay.
Like, exciting, but like...
Just like nothing, no credits. You don't want me to say anything? He's like, honestly, you don't have to.
I mean, Adam Sandler speaks for himself,
Exactly.
you know? But, wow, that's crazy. I would have, like, probably bawled, too. But, like I was saying, like, Adam Sandler, big bonding between me and my mom. And, like, I would even watch early comedy specials, like Kevin Hart. Mind you, a lot of it was probably hands over the ears, like my mom trying to censor some stuff out. But I wonder for you, was comedy super present in your house? And is that kind of how you got on this path?
Yeah, comedy's a big thing. My father always liked, well, you probably are going to be like, who? Richard Pryor.
Of course I know who Richard Pryor
Girl,
is.
you don't know who Richard Pryor
Yes,
is.
I do. Okay.
Richard Pryor, Wonder Sites, and like a lot of the class, it was mostly, it's funny because when people ask me who are the comics that you kind of grew up watching, I mostly grew up watching like Def Comedy Jam and very urban comedians, quote unquote, mostly Black and Latino comics that I've been watching.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what about Louis C.K. or Bill Murray? And I'm like, I can't relate to them.
Yeah.
They have nothing that offers my interest besides being a white man in society.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, no disrespect, if you want me to open for you, gladly do it. But it's like growing up, my parents made sure that we had those like figures in the house, like always have, like even though it kind of like is annoying, but I always grew up with like Andy Garcia and George Lopez, which are Mexican well, Andy Garcia is Puerto Rican, I think. It's just having that Latino presence, Black, brown, and Latino presence in the household that my dad really wanted. Because he was one of those men that was like, he himself was a media, he was a radio announcer, he was a DJ, and he was like always in the entertainment, and he was like, whatever you do, you know, the like, look at them, for example, if you want to be a comedian, this is who I recommend. If you want to be a singer, this is who I listen to. Like it was always people of color that he always like put out.
Yeah.
My mother too, like even like Latino comedians, she would and it's funny because I worked with Antonio. There's a comedian called Antonio Zalvizar. I can't say his last name.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. But it's just having that representation in the household that they wanted.
Yeah, representation, it matters, especially when you're young too. Like, seeing people that look like you, like, makes you feel like you can do things that you would otherwise think you couldn't. So when I was like researching for this, you have your like main comics that come to mind, but I struggled to come up with a lot of BIPOC and Latina comics. So I wonder for you, do you feel like comedy, and you already touched on this, has been a male-dominated space? And for you, did that kind of want to push you to make your name, make a name for yourself in the industry, especially as a Latina woman?
Absolutely. The industry itself is male-dominated.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's still male-dominated. A man's going to get something before you, even though you've worked harder than that man.
Yeah.
And what I've learned thus far, these years into comedy, is that this is my journey, this is my path, and I'll get to where I want when I can. And I can't really compare my success with my other colleagues, comedian colleagues that have started with me, because I know for a fact, like, there's a certain colleague of mine that we started the same exact time, and he's going up more than me, and that's because he is a he. He is a male. Yeah. You know, he's gonna get more stage time than me. So there's gonna be a moment where, you know, anybody, like, I'm just talking to anybody that's starting comedy that's a female. More importantly, anybody that's Black, brown, or Latina starting off. You are going to have moments where you're going to be like, am I doing something wrong? Okay. Is it me? And it's not. It's just the industry that you're in.
Mm-hmm. And it's the world, too, which is sad.
It's the world itself. That's why I'm kind of envious of the Gen Z right now.
Really? Okay.
Because you have shows now that are portraying, like, women of color in any side. Like, The Survival of the Thickest, Michelle.
I just finished watching that. That was so good.
Yeah, a lot of my colleagues are in that.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm like, dang, growing up, I wish I had a show like this.
Yeah.
You know? I wish I had something like this to be like, you know what? You know, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do me, and that's who I'm going to be. Because it took years to get where, like, mentally where I will need to be to start comedy. But what I will say is that it's not you. Yeah. And now we have so many more images that are in successful positions that you never thought we would have.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we continue this, like, path because, like I said, I never had it growing up. Mm-hmm. Like, of course I had, you know, a Black and Latino representation, but they were all males.
Yeah. I
never had, like, you guys have, what's her name? Lizzo, yeah. I never had Lizzo growing up.
Yeah.
I never had a Lizzo. I had an Adele.
Yeah.
But Adele's a white woman.
Yeah. She's not even from here.
She's not even from here. She's from British. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. When I first heard her, I was like, ooh, that's a Black woman. It's not. It's a British. It's a white British woman. White. Yeah. But I had, you know, you guys have Lizzo. You guys, Beyonce herself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had Beyonce growing up. I can't say I'm that old. I'm not. I had Destiny's Child. I had Spice Girls. But it wasn't until I got into this industry where I was like, we still need a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We still need a lot of work to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And work still needs to be done. Because especially, like, when you look at... I know for myself I'm Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. I'm Puerto Rican and Irish.
Okay.
So, like, but I'm...
What a mix.
I know.
My neighbor's Puerto Rican and Irish. I'm over here. What a mix. I've seen it. But it's good to hear... like a mix. I don't know. Sorry.
No, but like I'm predominantly Puerto Rican, and I'm darker than like Puerto Ricans. It's a range, like spectrum of skin color. So I know.
Yeah,
for
I'm Puerto
me,
Rican.
For me growing up, like seeing darker Latina, Hispanic people on screen wasn't something that I came across a lot, or if it was like the stereotypical kind of role in like a movie or a show.
Let's peel back that onion. All right. Growing up, we had telenovelas, right?
Yeah.
And your main character was somebody that literally was Thalia.
Yeah.
A white Mexican woman.
Yeah.
And her role was, she came from the slums, and then here comes this rich prince to whisper off.
Yeah.
Who were the Black and brown Latinos in those novelas? They were all slaves, or they were waiters, or they were butlers. They were service workers.
Yeah, it's always like, too, like, if you look at American TV, because I know, like, for myself, I watch TV, like, my grandma watched. She's super Irish. Mm-hmm. So we watched, like, General Hospital, One Life to Live. There's nobody, like, in that spectrum on there.
I think just to cap it on that, it's like... Yeah. There must be this... I feel like once we get a little bit more people, there's going to be this wave coming soon. Especially after this strike. I feel like there's going to be such a big wave of production coming through that I feel like this is the time where we are now have the doors open for any equal representation. Rather it be Latino, rather it be South Asian, LGBTQIA, any type of representation. This is our time to show that now.
Yeah, of course. So I know on stage, I've seen some of your acts. You talk a lot you use your own experiences a lot,
Mm-hmm.
which I really find refreshing and I appreciate, because some people wouldn't be that open. So like I saw you talked about growing up Latina, mental health, dating,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So when it comes to using your own personal experiences as a source of your material, do you ever feel hesitant to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it takes years and confidence to talk about yourself on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because not for nothing, there's going to be people out there that be like, oh, I can talk about myself all the time.
Yeah.
But are you really talking about yourself, or are you just saying statements about yourself?
Okay.
Because what comes with it is the territory of the trauma that came from it.
Yeah.
Like, I talk about how I'm a late bloomer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it took me years to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
It took me years because society, as you know, is very sexualized.
Yeah.
And you're kind of frowned upon if you're not doing something by the age of 14,
Yeah.
15. So me going on stage and saying, hey, I started at 26.
Yeah. You're kind of like breaking down like those societal standards when you are open about that stuff.
Yeah, because there's gonna be I see it as there's gonna be younger girls that are feeling pressured.
Yeah.
And they're feeling, that they need to do it now. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, recently I did a podcast where I talk about losing my virginity at 29.
Okay.
For me, if you were to ask me to do that at a younger stage of my life, I'd be like, absolutely not. That's my private life.
Yeah.
But then it took years, like a couple of years of therapy to be like, you know what? There are probably other people that are just like me, and they need to hear my voice and need to know that it's not anything that
It's not taboo.
it's not taboo.
Let's just talk about it. Yeah.
It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there that I know some people that have waited until they were 40,
Yeah.
and it's like there's no timeline.
Yeah.
When you are ready, you'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can peel that onion back for somebody, then I'm like, all right, so I did my job.
That's nice.
Even
yeah.
when it comes to like mental health, as you know, in our like community, that doesn't exist.
No.
Could you go up to somebody that's over the age of 57 right now?
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm going to therapy. They'd be like, what are you doing? You're wasting your money.
Yeah.
You can clean. Go depress those dishes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what are you talking about? We're not right.
Yeah.
So it's, opening up that door where it's like, this is a problem.
Yeah. It matters. Like, let's open our eyes. It matters. Yeah.
And if I could use it in a comedic way, I'll absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no if, ands, or but about it. Like, honestly, if I find it funny that people find it so taboo to do something late in life,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Break those ideas, breaks out of those expectations. Yeah.
There's no, honestly, when it comes to comedy, there's no limitations.
Yeah.
As you know, there's several comedians that say the wildest things.
Yeah.
So for me to say, oh, I started dating at 26, which is crazy because I'm supposed to be on my second marriage by now. And people will laugh. People will be like, oh, that's true. I did start dating late. I started dating at 26, which is crazy because I'm supposed to be on my second marriage by now. And when I started dating, everybody and their mother had advice for me, right? Like, my favorite advice given to me was by my grandmother. She was like, whatever you do, make sure you fall in love with somebody that loves you for your stomach. I was like, well, that's crazy, Grandma. I gotta date a tapeworm now?
Do you find it, though, that, like, I get that joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Latina. Do you feel that jokes like that or jokes about growing up Latina really, the way it hits with an audience depends on the demographic of that audience?
No.
No. Okay.
Because it's a story.
Okay.
It's your story.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm confident enough to go on stage and say that, I think it doesn't matter who the demographic is. Oh, also, it depends also where you're at. because I don't think people realize. Like, I could say that joke in New York and I'll get a chuckle.
Yeah.
I'll say it in Virginia or somewhere, they'll be like, what? Because they, you know, I'm trying to be clean. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I get it.
And ideally, it does, yes and no, to
Okay.
answer your question. Yes and no, it does depend on your demographic, who your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you break that fourth wall with your audience to where they're so connected to you, they'll
Okay.
laugh. They'll laugh. You already have a connection with your audience at that rate.
Okay.
So if you just deliver your joke with confidence, they're gonna rock with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like building that connection. Like, I'm sure that must be hard though when you only have like a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah. Well, Trevor Noah said it very good. He
Okay.
said, "This is a date. I'm gonna say some weird things. You're gonna react weird, but don't worry. I'm gonna bring it back.
I like
At the end of the night, you're gonna be obsessed with me." Like it's a back and forth. It's a limbo, even though it's silent.
It's a dance.
Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes people will heckle you or talk back, but that's okay because you, as the artist, will know how to control that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's the trick. It's a tango between two people, you
Okay.
and the audience.
So I know recently that a lot of comedians have come under scrutiny of cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel cancel culture has affected the comedy industry, or has it even affected you yourself as a comedian?
It's a big question
Okay.
that cannot have a small answer.
Yeah.
So, cancel culture obviously hindered a lot because there are some things that, well, me, I'm gonna use myself as an example.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a person that would go on stage and say outlandish things
Yeah.
because I'm such a storyteller of my own story.
Okay.
But there are comedians who have been saying outlandish things for years
Yeah.
and now are getting scrutiny over it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, back in those days, it was normal. So you see how this younger generation is changing those ways, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, you got to remember, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
So
Which is sad.
It is sad, but you see a lot of new comics are changing material. They are adjusting material. And I think that's what's the great thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
We're sharpening up a pen.
Okay.
You're sharpening up your pen because at the end of the day, like, a race joke is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
A gay joke is not going to cut it. None of that stuff is going to cut anymore. People want to see raw material.
Yeah.
But because cancel culture is such a hitter
Mm-hmm.
in our community,
Mm-hmm.
we have been reluctant to what is called crowd work clips online.
Yeah.
Because you are interacting and you have the reaction of an audience member because you are now hiding the fact you have no material.
Yeah.
So, is cancel culture a bad thing? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bettering us as comedians? Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it making tougher decisions in comedy? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it ruining comedy? Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
To put it bluntly, yes.
Yes. I feel
Yeah.
like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and be like, everybody can go on stage and say the N-word. No.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Mm-hmm.
This is your time to go on stage. Whatever material you got,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you don't get canceled by it.
Yeah. Double check that before you deliver it.
It's a interesting take.
Okay. So you mentioned a lot about being a voice for younger audiences or for people that look like you. And you also have gone on to create your own showcase, Bodega Kids. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So me and Matthew Arevalo's show. He's another comedian, young comedian. He started when he was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, he's what I call the silent killer.
Okay.
This kid is amazing. And when I met him was when I was like about 2 years into comedy. And we would like joke around all the time and be like, you know, we should have a Latino show. And I would be like, yeah, we should. And I never thought of it. And then one day we just looked at each other and we were like, no, let's do it. So, I saw that there was a like a Cuban restaurant that had a stage by where I live.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, this is perfect. So I hit him up. I was like, what do you think about this spot? He was like, yo, that's great. Can you go talk to the manager for us? We'll set up a meeting. And then next thing you know, June 1st, 2020, this is when everything was opening up now. I think, was it 20 or 21 when we started opening up? Sorry, June 1st, 2021 was our first show.
Wow.
And mind you, it was literally, 10 of my friends and 10 of his friends.
Okay.
And now, like, we sell out.
That's awesome.
At comedy clubs. Because I told them, I was like, this is our opportunity where our stage reflects our audience.
Yeah.
And like I've mentioned several times, like representation. So if I can go to a club, let's say for instance our first club show was at the Stand.
Okay.
And if I can go into a club and I see all their house shows are just white men. Oh, wait a minute. We got one black guy here, but guess what he's doing? He's hosting the show. He's running that show. Or you have a woman, but she's also hosting.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to be like, hey, it looks like you're missing a little bit of a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
To your club.
A little bit of spice.
Little something. This is what I can offer. Now, I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect them to be like, oh yeah, let's do it in the upstairs room, which only has 30 seats. There's like, they were so passionate about it, they gave us the downstairs. Okay. And we sold out. I didn't think anything of it. It was a very emotional night for all of us that was involved. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I can't believe it was 125 seats. Wow. 125 people. First of all, I only have 2 friends, so I don't even know how that happened. But it was... Like
you said, representation, it matters.
Yes.
People saw that.
Yes, it was. And then when I looked into the crowd, it was like a mix. It wasn't just black and brown and Latinos. Like, you had white people in there, too. That's awesome. So it was a mix of people. And we got on stage at the end of the show, and it's funny because I still have this clip on my phone where I was like, we started off the show with 10 people in the audience, and the goal was to have our stage reflect the audience, and everybody just gave us a standing ovation. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I want to keep this going. So I still do. I keep the show at New York Comedy Club just because I do feel like, you know, not for nothing, the Stand was an amazing opportunity. But New York Comedy Club is that club. Yeah. She is that girl, you know? Because I literally look at their lineups and I'm like, oh, okay, we got a lot of representation in these lineups. Yeah. So I was like, I kind of want to leave the show there. And it was an amazing opportunity given to us. So we have it every month. At New York Comedy Club, every first Monday of the month.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so glad that you are being a voice in comedy and being the representation that a lot of people needed. I know myself needed growing up, and I know you needed growing up. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That is a wrap on today's episode of CUNY Uncut. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Isabel Ortiz. And make sure to check out CUNY Uncut on social media. I will see you guys next time. Bye!